Good day everyone, my name is Lawrence de Guzman, together with my team, John Pris Gerald Cornico, Gio De Mapawi, Chris Jordan Gabriel, John Paul Gabanit, John Jexter Natividad, and Rosemin San Jose. Ngayon ipapaliwanag natin yung solar powered home. Sa solar powered home, meron siyang 3 configurations, yung grid tied, off-grid, tsaka yung hybrid. To simply explain, yung grid tied, yung klaro may solar ka sa bahay mo, ayun yung nakakabit sa grid natin, yung sa mga metro. Tapos yung off-grid naman, ayun yung grid tied nga pala, kadalas makikita natin sa mga kabahayan pagka mga gawing kalsada, ganun. Tapos pagkadating naman sa off-grid, siya yung hindi nakakabit sa metro, tapos yung sa mga grid. Mahanap natin yung off-grid simply sa mga kabundukan kung saan walang source. Tsaka nga pala additional sa grid tied, wala siyang battery. Hindi kagaya sa off-grid. Sa off-grid kasi meron tayong battery na ginagamit pang sa gabi. Kung wala, kasi pagka wala kang source ng light, kailangan mo ng battery sa gabi para magamit yung electricity mo. Tapos meron din naman tayong hybrid na, ayun nga, pinagsama ng off-grid tsaka grid tied. Solar powered home. Punta naman tayo sa grid tied. Explain natin yung grid tied. In a grid type, the solar power system is connected in a parallel to electric supply that goes inside the house and only functions during the day. Nagpa-functions lang siya tuwing umaga. Tapos yung excess energy niya na napoproduce, napeped sa grid nga. Since wala siyang battery backup, hindi siya nakakapag-produce tuwing gabi. Tapos during brownout naman, nag-automatic din na nagsha-shutdown siya. Kaya hindi nakakapag-produce ng electricity din, yung inverter. Tapos, yung main purpose nito is to save electricity. In fact, kunwari, yung solar array natin ratings matches the electric consumption, magkakaroon tayo ng zero bill. Tapos minsan, pagka lumalagpas, ayun, pwedeng tayo pa yung mabayaran kung meron tayong grid tied. Tumungo naman tayo sa solar power home grid tied na figure. Ito, makikita natin kung paano nakakabit yung solar panel at saka yung mga linya ng solar panel na yon sa metro. Ayan, kung paano yung sikat ng araw tumatama sa panel, kung paano napupunta yung energy na nakukuha natin, na kinoconsume natin galing sa solar panel, at saka paano ito nakakonect sa inverter at saka sa mga meter natin patungo sa utility pole. So, tumungo naman tayo sa basic parts ng solar power home sa grid tied. Meron siyang solar panel, grid tie inverter, with or without limiter, square wave or pure sine wave, DC circuit breaker, DC surge protection device or SPD, AC circuit breaker, AC surge protection device, SPD din, time delay switch, TDS, DC or AC electric wires, MC4 connectors, solar rail, tsaka clamps. Yung ibang parts na yan, may didiscuss sa throughout this discussion ng report namin. Kaso yung ibang simple hindi namin i-discuss kasi madali na lang rin yun. Okay. Eto, makikita natin sa next slide yung yung solar panel. Ito yung kulay itim. Alam naman natin yung kulay itim ay yung monocrystalline na solar panel. Gaya sa nasabi namin sa mga last reports namin. Tumungo naman tayo sa explain nga yung solar panel kung siguro gaya nga sa nasabi namin sa last na mga reports, alam na natin siguro kung paano nagpo-function yung solar panel. Tapos most solar panels are rated to 150 or below. Tapos rated din to as 12 volts while larger solar panels are 24 volts. A 12 volt solar panel produce around 14 to 18 volts when put under load. This allows a single solar panel to charge up to 12 volts battery. Incidentally, if you connect a voltmeter up to a solar panel when it's not under load, you may well see voltage reading up to 26 volts. Tapos, this is a normal in open circuit din at saka on a solar panel. As soon as you connect the solar panel into the circuit, this voltage level will drop to around 14 to 18 volts. Solar panel can be connected together to create a solar array. The output of a solar array is computed much like a battery. Yun nga, meron tayong ano dito. Parang sa series, merong series connection tsaka parallel connection sa DC circuit natin. Tapos meron din tayong total voltage, total current, tsaka total power. Kunwari, sa example natin, tatandaan nyo tong 12 volts tsaka eto nga, rated siya ng 12 volts tsaka 10 ampere. Ayan, makikita natin sa panel natin na kunwari, meron tayong tatlong panel. Ayan, nakakonect siya ng into series connection. Tapos yung isang tatlong panel naman, nakakonect naman siya sa parallel connection. Makikita nyo na hindi siya pinagsasama halos. Kumbaga, may ano siya, may tamang pagkakaayos siya para yung mas magamit natin yung load natin ng maayos. Tapos meron ding 4 naman na panel na naka series parallel. Tsaka makikita nyo rin kung paano yung tamang ayos niyan para mas magamit nga natin ng maayos load. Kunwari, sa tatlong panel, meron siyang 10 ampere tsaka 36 volts na nag-equivalent sa 360 watts na power. Tapos sa isa naman, meron 24 volts, meron namang 20 ampere na nag-equivalent to 80 watts. Tapos sa 4 panels naman, meron tayong 12 volts doon. Tapos meron naman tayong 40 amperes doon na nag-equivalent to 480 watts. Tapos ayun, makikita natin dito dun kung ano yung equivalent ng bawat isa. Pero 24 sa yung tig-4, meron silang parehas na 24 volts. Tapos meron din parehas na 20 amperes. Sa tig-3 panel naman, merong 36 volts at saka 10 amperes. Tapos meron namang isang 12 volts at saka 30 amperes na nag-equivalent to 360 parehas. Tsaka yung parehas naman na isa 480 parehas. Tumungo naman tayo sa next slide. Yung yung pinagkaiba ng monocrystalline at saka polycrystalline solar panels. Yung monocrystalline nga yung itim, tapos yung polycrystalline nga yung blue. Tapos sa monocrystalline, makikita natin sa silicone arrangement, yung monocrystalline meron siyang one pure silicone crystal. Tapos habang samantalang naman yung polycrystalline, meron siyang many silicone fragments melded together. Mapapansin nyo, yung monocrystalline natin ay mas mura kumpara sa polycrystalline. Tapos yung mono rin natin, ayun nga, gaya na sinabi ko, meron siyang black hue. Tapos yung polycrystalline, meron siyang blue. Mas mapapansin nyo, mas maganda yung monocrystalline. Mas maganda yung quality niya. Mas efficient siya. Tapos mas tumatagal yung lifespan niya up to 25 to 40 years. Tapos yung sa temperature coefficient niya, doon na tumutungo siya sa lower temperature, making them more efficient in heat. Tapos samantalang naman sa polycrystalline, tumatagal siya ng 20 to 35 years, tas less efficient siya. Tapos high temperature coefficient siya, kaya mas less yung efficiency niya sa init. Tumungo naman tayo sa inverter. Ito, makikita natin yung iba't ibang uri ng inverter. Makikita nyo itong tatlo, yung ARB, Cronius, tsaka yung isa pa. Ito yung mga mas mahal na inverter. Tapos yung kasunod na slide, ito yung mas mura. Pero kung mas pares lang naman silang maayos gamitin, pero kung pipiliin nyo yung Cronius dahil gusto nyo mas maganda tignan, wala naman din tayong magagawa. Pero kung gusto nyo yung mas classy type na maayos din gumana, tas hindi naman kayo mapili sa design, tumungo na kayo dito sa mas mura nating in mga inverter.
So, let's move on to the inverter. So, alam naman natin lahat kung ano ang function ng inverter. So, it converts the DC output of the solar panel into AC output, which is the standard use of all commercial household appliances. Therefore, the inverter output matches the voltage within the house that is coming from the grid. So, traditionally, there is usually one central inverter in a solar system, but a more recent invention has been the microinverter. So, ang microinverter ay connected sa mga individual na solar panels so that each individual panel provides a high voltage alternating current. This setup are typically used only with grid-tie system and are not suitable for systems with battery backup. For grid-tie systems, Though costly, they offer some significant benefits over more traditional central inverter. So, sinasabi kasi dito na kapag ang bawat panel natin ay merong microconverter, nagbibigay siya ng mataas na efficiency compare sa central inverter. Kaya yung mga ganitong setup ay para lamang sa mga mayayaman. So, a grid tie inverter unique characteristics over the other type is it automatically shut down the system when there is power interruption. So, bakit nga ba sina-shutdown nito? Kasi kapag may power interruption, yung mga lineman natin ay aware na yung mga wire na pwede nilang mahawakan ay hindi energized. Kapag grid tie ang ating solar power system, nagbibigay din siya ng power sa grid na pwedeng maka-cause ng harmful damage para sa mga lineman natin. Okay na. So, let's move on to the inverter types. So, there is two types of inverter, which is the sine wave inverters and the modified sine wave inverters. So, a pure sine wave inverters, this type, output voltage is in the form of sine waves. Utilities also provide sine wave output because of these pure sine wave inverters are usually needed if you are going to be tied to the grid. Typically, you'll need pure sine wave inverters for sensitive equipment such as yung mga bagong TV, CFL light bulbs, and appliances with AC motors or yung mga microwaves and refrigerators. Pure sine wave inverters are capable of producing cleaner, smoother, quieter, and more reliable electricity to operate appliances and electronics without interference. Renogy sells a range of pure sine wave inverters of varying capacities to fit your solar installation and your energy needs. So, let's move on to sine wave inverters. So, unlike sa pure sine wave inverters that the AC power produced by the inverter very closely matches an actual sine wave, in modified sine wave inverters, the polarity abruptly switches from positive to negative. When looking at the wave, it has a stair-step square pattern where the polarity is flipped back and forth. So that choppy wave can negatively affect more delicate, sensitive equipment. If you have medical equipment you need to power, such as CPAP machine, you won't be able to use a modified sine wave inverter. Additionally, in many cases, you will hear a hum with devices attached to a modified sine wave inverter. The only advantage of this type of over the pure sine wave is that this is much cheaper. So, makikita natin sa picture na to ang comparison between pure sine wave and modified sine wave. Yung blue na graph ay yung pure sine wave while yung orange is the modified sine wave. Dito makikita natin kung bakit siya nagpo-produce ng hum sound dahil sa kanyang mga pulsating na signal.
Okay na.
So now, dito naman tayo sa DC circuit breaker. So, ang basic principle ng circuit breaker ay pinoprotektahan niya ang system para sa oversurge ng current. For example, yung system natin ay nag-ooperate lamang sa 20 amperes. Pero may biglang pumasok or papasok na 40 amperes papunta sa ating system. Ang circuit breaker ang haharang sa 40 amperes na napapasok sa ating system. Ang mangyayari ay pag na-sense niya ang overcurrent na yon, ititrip niya mismo yung circuit para hindi na siya maka-affect sa ating system at makasira pa. So, for more elaborate explanation, the DC circuit breaker, or sometimes referred as the PV disconnects, are placed between the solar panels and the inverter, or in some cases, built into the inverter. Just like a typical circuit breaker, it acts an overcurrent protective device. So sabi ko nga kanina, short circuit on the part of a solar array may produce a high value of current which might damage the inverter or the system as a whole. Before it happens, the DC circuit breaker acts as an automatic switch. to disconnect the inverter from the solar array. Gaya ng example natin kanina, pipigilan niya yung surge current na yun na makapasok sa ating system para hindi na to makasira ng mga other electronic components. So, it may also serve as a manual switch if there is a need to turn the solar power system off or isolate the solar panel from the rest of the system. So now, we have a AC circuit breaker or specifically RCBO type. So ano ba ito? So let's proceed. So a AC circuit breaker or specifically RCBO type, it is a AC circuit breaker that protects the system from overcurrent and also from residual current. So ano ba ito? So the RCBO type consists with added protection since it can sense earth leakage current where the typical breaker cannot. It has the capability to trip when somebody touches a live wire, thus protecting the people around it. So basically, yung sinasabi ditong earth leakage is kung meron mang makahawak ng live wire ay automatically siyang magti-trip para yung makahawak na yun ay di madidisgrasya at hindi rin masisira ang ating system. So, it may also serve as a manual switch if there is a need to turn the solar power system off. So now, we have DC surge protection device. So, ano ba ang pinagkaiba nito sa DC circuit breaker? So, let's proceed para malaman natin. So, ang isang DC SPD ay nilalagay ng nakaparallel sa ating DC circuit breaker. So, SPD generally protects the system from power surge or more appropriately is the voltage transient. SPD redirects the excess power to the ground. In PV system, since solar panels are heavily exposed in the environment, transient voltage is primarily caused by lightning either directly or indirectly. Multiple interconnection within power cables is very susceptible to electromagnetically induced transients where power surge could also arise. So basically, yung common example nito is yung mga kidlat na nangyayari sa paligid natin. So, ano ba ang transient voltage? Transient voltage is the occurrence of very high voltage in a very short duration of time, around tens to hundreds of microseconds. So, exposure to this transient voltage may cause a catastrophic component damage leading to system failure. So, basically, sinasabi dito na if may kidlat na directly tumama sa solar panel is hindi kayang protektahan ng DC surge protection kasi yung kidlat na tatama na yun directly sa solar panel ay magkokos ng malaking sira para sa mga solar panel. So, specifically, magkakaroon siya ng mga butas. So, ngayon naman, meron tayong AC surge protection device. So, ano nga ba ito? So, ang AC surge protection device or AC SPD ay nilalagay ng nakaparallel sa AC circuit breaker. Just like the DC SPD, this serves as protection against transient voltage, but this time on the AC side of the PV system. SPD redirects this excess power to the ground. So, para lang siyang yung DC SPD nga, no? So, in other output lang, dito is in AC. So, multiple equipment connections on the grid, either internal or external, can also be a cause of electrical anomalies where power surge could also arise. So now, dito naman tayo sa time delay switch. From the word itself, time delay, dinidelay niya yung pag-turn on ng ating system. So, for further explanation, let's proceed. So, the time delay switch, this can also be called as the power on delay. It delays the turning on of any electronic device for a desired time interval. This device serves its useful purpose usually when brownout occurs. So, alam naman natin, no, kapag brownout or kapag bumalik na yung power, kapag tapos ng brownout is hindi mo na pinasasaksak yung mga appliances dahil may tendency na magkaroon ng surge current or the transient voltage na tinatawag. So, dito papasok ang ating time delay switch, no? After a brownout, when a power have already been restored, there is a tendency of power surge, no? Which may damage the system if it is being turned on right away. To prevent this, time delay switch delays the turning on of the system for a minute or even a bit more. So, yung pag-delay nito ay pwedeng mabago na makikita naman natin sa picture kanina na pwede natin piliin kung gaano siya katagal madi-delay. So, we have here a programmable timer switch. So, ano nga ba ito? So, the programmable timer switch. So, for recap lang guys, the photovoltaic system is kailangan na minamanually siya na i-turn on and i-turn off. So, turning the solar power system on and off could be a vital routine which cannot be perfectly done in a day-to-day basis. Kasi tao lang ang gumagawa. Pwedeng makalimutan or minsan naman ay makakalimutan na talaga nila or mag-expect sila na tuloy-tuloy lang itong nag-work. So, dito papasok ang programmable timer. Programmable timer is a hassle-free switch that automatically turn the system on and off at your desired time. So, for the next topic is the net metering. So, para sa pagkakaalam nyo, this topic is all about sa mga batas na nakapaloob tungkol sa pagtatayo ng solar power system para sa mga bahay. So, we have here the question 1. What is net metering? Net metering allows customers of distribution utilities to install an on-site renewable energy facility not exceeding a 100 kilowatt in capacity so they can generate electricity for their own use. Any electricity generated that is not consumed by the customers is automatically exported to the DUs or the distribution system. The DU then gives a peso credit for the excess electricity received equipment to the DU's blended generation cost, excluding other generation adjustments, and deducts the credits earned to the customer's electric bill.
Question 2. Is net metering already available in the Philippines? The answer is on 27 of May 2013, the Energy Regulatory Commission adopted ERC Resolution 09 Series of 2013 approving the rules enabling the net metering program for renewable energy. This resolution was published on 10 of July 2013 in newspapers of general circulation in the country and took effect 15 days thereafter. Thus, the net metering rules took effect in the Philippines on July 24, 2013. The net metering program is available only to on-grid distribution system or DUS connected to the transmission grid. The next question 3. What benefits will I get if I go into net metering? By generating electricity for own use, you reduce the amount of electricity you buy from your local DU. The rate of saving realized on electricity generated for own use is equivalent to the DU's retail rate consisting of charge for generation, transmission, system loss, distributions, subsidies, taxes, and other charges. You also earn peso credits on any excess electricity exported to the DU equivalent to the DU's blended generation costs, including other generation adjustment The peso credit earned is then used to reduce your electric bills. Question 4. How will my DO monitor the excess energy that my grid tied setup is exported toward the grid? The DU may OPT to install two unidirectional meters, one to meter energy you buy from your local DU and the other to meter the energy you exported to the DU. The DU may at this option install in single bidirectional meter that can meter both import and export energy if it finds it to be a more economical. The DU may also install a third meter in proximity to your RE facility to meter its total RE generation. The total RE generation shall earn for the host DU certificates which the DU can use to comply with its renewable portfolio standards obligations. Question number 5. Who are qualified to participate in the net metering program? DU customers who are in good credit standing in the payment of their electric bills to their DU are qualified to participate in the net metering program for renewable energy. These customers are referred to in the rules as qualified end user or QE.
So another question is, there is any other way beside net metering that a customer having a solar power system producing excess energy during the day and yet will not pay for it? The answer is yes. This can be achieved by using an inverter with limiter. This device limits the power that the system will dissipate. It automatically detects the maximum power and the system can provide without the excess being sent to the grid. Next is the circuit connection of solar-powered home grid tie system. So this is the most basic connection na pwede natin mai-imply in a grid tie system na pinakamatipid na pwede natin gamitin in solar-powered home setup. Kahit na ito yung pinakasimple at matipid, naaayon pa rin naman ito sa standards ng electrical engineering. Alam naman natin na pinaka-importante na kahit magtipid tayo, dapat nakaayon pa rin tayo sa standards. This is the more refined connection na meron ng programmable timer switch at time delay switch. Pero yung connection na to is pinapakita lang yung AC side ng grid tie setup. Para mas madali natin maintindihan, yung circuit connection nito is pinapakita lang yung interconnection after the inverter. Wala dito yung connection between the solar panel and the inverter. So, combining the circuit connection, bago tayo magpatuloy, alamin muna natin yung different connection na ginagamit ng mga distribution utility. Tulad ng Celcor at Meralco, ang ginagamit nila is line-to-line connection. Ibig sabihin lang nito is yung dalawang wires na pumapasok sa mga residential buildings is live wire, usually 100 volts or 115 volts each. Para naman dun sa mga distribution utilities na gumagamit ng line-to-neutral connection, isa lang yung live wires and mostly 220 volts and the other one is neutral or 230 and the other one is neutral. Ibig sabihin lang nito is if ikaw is naka-under sa distribution company tulad ng Celcor at Meralco, lahat ng nakikita nating black and red wires sa circuit na to is pwedeng magkabaligtad. Pero if ikaw naman yung is under sa distribution company na gumagamit ng line-to-neutral connection, yung black and red wire connect ay hindi pwedeng magkabaliktad. So, ito naman yung tinatawag nating main panel board. It already consists the main circuit breaker as long as the ground bus bar. And the ground bus bar interconnects the grounding conductors within the circuits. So, dito naman tayo sa wire sizing. Para malaman natin if anong klaseng wires yung gagamitin natin para ipag-connect yung mga parts ng ating grid tie solar powered home. So, there are 4 types of wire. And these types of wire is set on a chronological order based on their performance. First is the TW or the thermoplastic wire. Pag sinabi nating thermoplastic wire, alam naman natin na ito is moisture resistant and flame retardant. Hindi siya basta-basta nag-absorb ng moisture or basta-basta nasusunog lang. Next is the THW or the thermoplastic heat resistant wire. So alam naman natin gaya ng mga nang sabi ko kanina, pag sinabi nating thermoplastic, ibig sabihin nito is moisture resistant and flame retardant. Pero this THW is performed better than the TW. Number 3 is the THHN or the thermoplastic high heat resistant nylon coated. Thermoplastic high heat resistant nylon coated is designed for specific insulation material, temperature rating, and condition of use, suitable for dry and damp locations. So gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, this is said to be in chronological order. Therefore, this THHN perform better than THW and TW.
So next is pang-apat, yung THHN or THWN2. So dito ay may isang klase ng electrical wire na ginagamit sa mga kable ng kuryente. So yung una, yun na nga, ang sabi ko kanina, yung THHN. So ibig sabihin lang nito, yung kaya niya ang high temperature. Pero para lang siya sa dry o mga tuyong lugar lang. So yung ano naman, yung THWN naman, so halos kapareho lang. Pero may dagdag na W. Ibig sabihin, water resistant naman siya. So pwede siya gamitin sa mga wet or sa may mga basang lugar. So ngayon yung THWN2, mas upgraded version siya. Kaya niya yung mas mataas na init hanggang sa 90 degrees Celsius at pwede siya sa both wet or sa dry environments. So, magkaiba yung THHN sa THWN na wire. Pero ngayon, dati yon yung magkaiba yun. Pero ngayon, pinagsama na yung features nila. Kaya ang makikita mo na madalas ay THHN/THWN2. Ibig sabihin, isang wire na kaya na ang init plus dry and then plus wet conditions. So take note, here's a breakdown to help make some sense of the lettering. So the T stands for thermoplastic insulated cable. So sa single H naman is the wire heat resistant. Tapos yung double H naman means that the wire is heat resistant and can withstand a higher temperature. And then yung N naman stands for nylon coated. Next naman is the added W, signifies that the wire is also resistant to water. Next up is PV wire or photovoltaic wires naman. So dito naman, tinutukoy lang dito yung pagiging special type ng wire. So ginagawa talaga para sa solar system or yun nga yung PV o photovoltaic effect application. So ibig lang sabihin, ginagamit siya sa mga solar panels. So yung mga wire na ito ay designed para tumagal kahit sobrang init at harsh na environment tulad yung mga sa tirik ng araw, mga ulan or outdoor condition. Kaya mas matibay siya kumpara sa mga ordinary wires lang. Ngayon, bakit siya special? Dahil nga sa insulation at outer covering niya. Kaya dalawa yung common materials na ginagamit dito. Yung una, yung XLPE o yung cross-link polyethylene. So ito naman yung isang plastic na dumadaan sa special process. So sa simpleng explanation, so pinapalit niya yung pinapainit siya occurred under heat. So habang pinapaliit siya, nagkakaroon ng strong connections or yung bands na tinatawag sa loob. Tapos yung pangatlo naman, nagiging parang 3D structure yung material niya. So bilang resulta nito, mas matibay, heat resistance at hindi madaling masira. So number 2 naman is EPR, yung ethylene polyline rubber. So ito naman yung parang rubber material, yan nga sabi dun. And then dito naman, so flexible siya, hindi madaling mabasag, kayang mag-handle ng init at moisture, and then maganda yung outdoor use niya. In short, yung wire na ito ay ginagamit para sa solar dahil nga sa mga sumusunod, kaya ang mataas na init, and then hindi basta nasisira sa ulan at yung sa may weather, ganun. And then may special insulation siya, yung XLPE or yung EPR, na mas matibay kaysa sa normal wires. So parang upgrade siya ng regular wire na pang heavy duty at outdoor use. Next is itong figure nito, makikita natin dito yung AWG cables or yung wire size. So depende yan. Halimbawa, dito sa may 14 gauge. Kung mas mataas yung constant niya o yung numbering niya, ibig sabihin mas manipis yung wire na gagamitin. So vice versa lang, kapag mas maliit yung wire, yung number niya ng gauge, ibig sabihin mas makapal yung wire na gagamitin. Next naman is itong table na ito. So dito pinapakita dito NEC table 310.50B16. So dito allowable applicity of insulated conductors rated up to and including 2000 volts to 60 degrees Celsius through 90 degrees Celsius. So not more than 3 current carrying conductors in raceway, cable or earth directly blurred based on ambient temperature of 30 degrees Celsius. So dito pinapakita lang dito yung temperature rating of conductors. So meron ditong copper and aluminum or copper clad aluminum. So madalas na ginagamit dito is yung copper. So dito lang tayo magpo-focus. So next table is ito naman yung temperature rating of copper conductor. Yun nga, gaya na sabi ko, sa copper lang tayo mag-focus. So dito meron dito 60 degrees, 75 degrees, and 90 degrees. So depende yun sa AWG o yung sa size ng wire na gagamitin. So next table naman tayo is table 310.15B2A. So ambient temperature correction factors based on 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So dito naman is makikita natin yung temperature rating ng mga conductor, 60 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Celsius, and then yung ambient temperature niya or in Fahrenheit. So next table naman tayo is 310.15B3C. So ambient temperature adjustment for raceway or cables. So exposed to sunlight on or above rooftops. So dito naman nakalagay dito yung distance above the roof to cable of raceway or cable. So dito nakalagay din dito yung mga temperature adder natin in degrees Celsius or in Fahrenheit. So next table naman is 310.15B3A. So dito naman yung adjustment factor for more than 3 current carrying conductors. So meron dito nakasaad dito sa table yung number of conductors. And then yung kabila naman is per set of values in table 310.15B16 through the table 310.15B19 as adjusted for ambient temperature if necessary.
So next is the AWG cross-sectional area. So dito kailangan natin tandaan na yung wire sizing na ang gagamitin lang nating unit in terms of cross-sectional area is the circular mills. So under ng circular mills, andito yung 66360, 52620, 41740, 33090, 26240, and so on. So dun lang tayo nakapokus sa circular mills lang. So next naman is yung standard ampere rating. So dito, ito naman yung magiging guide natin sa pagra-round off natin ng mga nagkukuha nating values. Syempre, hindi naman lagi kasi sakto yung lumalabas na values na nakukuha natin. Kaya much better if meron tayong copy na to. So dito, hindi naman to kailangan produsaduhin. So kahit screenshot na lang. And usually given din naman ito sa mga activities and other works. So next naman is yung steps in photovoltaic system conductor sizing. So una dito is look for the ISC rating of PV cell. Next is multiply by 2 safety factors, which are irradiance and continuous duty. The third one is refer on the table 310.15 and yun ay under ng B, and syempre 16 for the size of wire. The fourth one is refer on the table 310.15 B2A for PCT correction due to ambient temperature more than 30 degrees. The fifth step is refer on table 310.15 B3C for ambient temperature adjustment due to conduit or wire distance from the roof. The sixth step is refer on the table 310.15 B3A for adjustment due to more than 3 wires inside a conduit. And then the seventh step is find the adjustment due to voltage drop. The last step is the value obtained in the last step will be on the basis for the size of wire to be used in the photovoltaic system. So, dapat lang natin tandaan na mas better if may sobra. So, for example, yung wire sizing natin is hindi sakto yung nakuha nating value. Much better na magpasobra tayo para mas ma-minimize natin yung losses. So, tandaan, mas mababa ang resistance ng wire habang mas mataba ito. Mas ma-minimize nito ang losses. Kaya hindi na masusunod yung mga 8 guides na to kung alam na natin yung pinaka-flow niya. So next is, ito naman yung nakikita natin sa likod ng mga solar panel na binibili natin. So dito makikita mo yung isang brand, Jinko Solar, sa kanan naman is yung Just Solar. So under ng mga image na to, makikita natin dito yung ISC. For example, sa Just Solar, ang ISC niya is 9.75 ampere. Makikita din natin dito yung max power current or IMP. Then also yung maximum power voltage or BMP, which is 32.26 for Just Solar. So next naman, let's have an example. So sabi dito, find the proper wire size for a grid-tied PV system consisting of 3 Just Solar panels connected in series with specs at the previous slide. So under ng step 1, sabi natin, look for the ISC rating of photovoltaic cell. So sabi ko nga kanina, makikita natin yung ISC rating doon sa may image na nakikita natin kapag bumibili tayo ng mga solar panels. So under ni Just Solar, ang ISC rating niya is 9.75 ampere. Ito ay equal din sa IPV. So step 2 natin, multiply by 2 factors, irradiance and continuous duty. So, ang IPV nyo natin is 9.75 ampere times 1.25 times 1.25, that is equals to 15.23 ampere. So, yun na yung magiging new IPV natin. So, for step 3, magre-refer tayo sa table 310.15B16 for the size of wire. So, base dun sa ating table na yun, if mababalikan nyo, if meron kayong kopya, the table indicates number 14 THHN with an ampacity of 25 ampere. So sabi dito, since size 14 is not the best practice for photovoltaic system, gagamit tayo ngayon ng number 12 size with an ampacity of 30 ampere. So take note lang dito sa example na to, given yung ISC, yun ay nakita natin sa ating image. And take note na yung ISC is nakukuha sa laboratory under normal condition. So pag naman sinabing continuous duty, nabanggit ito kanina sa step 2, the photovoltaic system is operating for more than 3 hours. Ayun lang. So next naman natin is yung step 4. So sabi pa rin dito sa problem, hanapin natin yung proper wire size for a grid-tied photovoltaic system consisting of 3 Just Solar panels connected in series with specs at the next slide. So tutuloy lang natin. For step 4, sabi natin kanina, ampacity correction due to ambient temperature. So dahil ang Pilipinas, ang ambient temperature natin is around 37 degrees Celsius, si table 310.15B2 ay nag-indicates na 30 times 0.91 is 27 ampere. So yung 27 ampere, that's our new wire ampacity. So take note na si 0.91 dito is makikita natin sa table. So for step 5 naman, we have the ambient temperature adjustment due to roof minus the wired distance. So for 1/2 inch above the roof, so ibig sabihin dito, nilapit natin sa bubong, 37 plus 22, that's 59 degrees Celsius. So yung values na to is makikita nyo naman sa table na i-discuss ng previous reporter. So yung 59 degrees Celsius na to, ito yung bagong ambient temperature natin. And then the table 310.15 B2/A indicates 27 times 0.71 is equals to 19.17 amperes. So bumaba pa yung ating wire ampacity from the previous from the previous step. So since 19.71 ampere is greater than 15.23 ampere, our selected number of wire or size is number 12 wire. Yun yung magpipit sa ating system. So next naman natin is para sa step 6, same example lang. So under ng step 6, sabi natin dito, since there's only 2 wires inside the conduit, this step can now be bypassed. So ibig sabihin, lalampasan lang natin tong step 6. Dahil nga daw series tayo and 2 wires yung nasa loob ng ating conduit. So punta na tayo sa step 7. So ito ay adjustment due to voltage drop. So dito, consider na natin yung voltage drop. So yung voltage drop, sabi dito, less than 3%. So using the formula, voltage drop is equals to 2 pi R, wherein yung R natin is equals to K, which is constant yan, L over A. So computing the voltage drop, we have VD is equals to 2 multiplied by 9.3 multiplied by 12.9 multiplied by 25 over 6,530 is equals to 0.92 volts. So, ang ating percent ng voltage drop natin is 0.92 all over 32.26 times 100, that's 2.85%. So, as we can see, 2.85% is less than 3%. So, meaning, our selected number of wire is number 12. Yun yung wire size na gagamitin natin na mag-fit sa ating system. And, syempre, if kino-consider natin yung voltage drop, yung mga values na nakita natin ito, 6,530, 0.92, 32.26, yan ay makikita natin sa table and mga constant lang naman lahat ng yan. So direct substitution lang tayo sa formula. So next is, since 2.85 is a bit near to 3, it would be better to use number 10 THHN wire for additional safety factor and syempre for future expansion. So next is, since we know that on the previous problem, in case the voltage drop exceeded 3%, so let's say naging 5% siya, yung additional computation is ganito. Since the initial selected wire is number 12, make a one step higher adjustment. So magsaselect tayo initially, halimbawa number 10 or size 10 yung gagamitin natin. Our voltage drop is equal to 2.93 multiplied by 12.9 all over 25 times 25 all over 10,380, and that's equivalent to 0.058 volt. So take note na yung 12.9 is constant lang yan, si 25 yan ay assumption lang, si 10,380 naman is makikita natin sa copper table na i-discuss ng previous reporter. So our percent of voltage drop, we have 0.058 volts all over 32.26 volts. So multiply lang natin ito sa 100%, so we will get the answer of 0.18%. So, based on this answer, ang gagamitin natin is number 10 as the final wire para sa ating system. Yeah. So, next naman, ito yung dapat nating i-take note. So, si K, yan ay equal lamang sa direct current constant. So, this is a constant representing the direct current resistance. So for a 1,000 circular mills conductor that's 1,000 feet long at an operating temperature of 75 degrees Celsius, the direct current constant value you should use for copper is 12.9 ohms and 21.2 ohms for aluminum conductors. The K constant is suitable for alternating current circuits where the conductors do not exceed at number 1 or 0. So next naman, ito yung sample wire chart ng ating photovoltaic system. So pwede na naman natin itong screenshot na lang, and di rin naman kasi ito yung focus ng ating discussion. So, atong table na to, ginagamit lang siya para directly natin makita yung mga wire sizing ng ating mga wire na ginagamit para hindi na rin tayo dumaan sa 8 steps na na-discuss ko kanina.
So yung naka-flash sa screen ay ang sample wire size chart in PV system. Ito ay mga minimum recommended cable size or cross-section area of 2 cables core cables for 24 volts renewable energy system. Voltage loss under 5%. So next is inverter sizing. So ano nga ba ang inverter sizing? For the inverter to fit the system, its power rating must be approximately equal to the power rating of the solar arrays or maybe a bit greater of around 10% to 20%. Therefore, if your solar system is rated at 2,000 watts, you'll need a solar inverter that is about 2,000 watts. So, ang power rating ng inverter na ginagamit dapat identical sa device ng buong solar array. Pwede itong mas mataas ng kaunti, around 10 to 20% for some allowance factor. For example, meron kang inverter na 2,000 watts. Hindi dapat lalayo sa 2,000 watts yung power rating ng inverter. So meaning, nakadepende ang power rating ng system sa power rating ng inverter. DC and AC circuit breaker sizing. First thing to consider in sizing a CV for PV system is the ruling in PEC, which states that the PV circuit current is continuous. Thereby, the minimum OCPD rating is 125% of the maximum current. PEC 2017 Article 6.90.2.2 B and Article 6.90.2.3b. Our 10 THHN stranded wire has a capacity of 40 amperes and have an ambient temperature of 30 degrees centigrade. Since hindi naman 30 degrees centigrade ang ambient sa Pilipinas, we're going to correct this by referring to the table. Upon solving the given number, we multiply 40 times 0.91 and then we will have 36.4 amperes. For wire rope distance naman, referring to the table again, we have 37 plus 22 is equal to 59 degrees centigrade. And 36.4 times 0.71, we will have 25 amperes, and that is how you compute a circuit rate. Surge protection device sizing. The rule is simple in sizing of surge protection device. Basically, the UC rating of the SPD should match the system voltage or a bit higher of 15% to 25% for SPDs to attain a longer lifespan. Tumungo naman tayo sa SPD specs. We have IN or normal discharge current, IMAX maximum discharge current, UC maximum continuous operating voltage, UP voltage protection rating or VPR or surge voltage rating or clamping voltage. But our line of concentration here is the UC rating or maximum continuous operating voltage, meaning ito yung voltage na i-maintain ng SPD while doing its work. Solar panel orientation. So ano nga ba yung solar panel orientation? On those countries located at the northern hemisphere, solar panels should be facing south direction for maximum sunlight, while in the southern hemisphere it should be face north. Since the Philippines is above the equator, it belongs to the northern hemisphere. Thus, solar panels should be facing south direction for maximum efficiency. A general rule for optimal annual energy production is to set the solar panel tilt angle equal to the geographical latitude. Essentially, the closer a solar panel is located to the equator, the more the panel should be pointing straight up. The closer the panel is to the poles, the more they should tilt towards the equator. Therefore, in Philippines, the solar panel tilt should be 12 degrees to 14 degrees. Since ang Pilipinas ay nasa taas ng equator, ang solar panel ay dapat nasa south direction. And for the solar panel tilt naman, this should be 12 degrees to 14 degrees. So next is zero bill computation. To compute for your monthly average kilowatt use, we have 300 kilowatts per month. convert to daily usage, we have 30 kilowatts per month divided by 30 days is equal to 10 kilowatt per day or 10,000 watts per day. Note, in Philippines, peak sun hours is equal to 5 hours per day. For solar array ratings, we have 10,000 divided by 5 is equal to 2,000 watts. And for zero bill assurance is 2,000 times 1.1 is equal to 2,200 watts. Number of panels, we have 2,200 divided by 300 is equal to 7.33 or 8 solar panels.